Good morning, everyone. This is Russell Rucker, and I'm here for another Constitutional Talk. Welcome. Today I thought we'd talk about the New City Tavern a little bit and the history of our country. When we talk about the Constitution, we're talking about government because the Constitution is our main law of the land. And our first Constitution, the Articles of Confederation, was actually worked on and written in the Continental Congress. John Adams and others arrived in Philadelphia, and they were greeted by other congressmen and members of government out at the stage stop, and they were brought into town and they were taken to the New City Tavern. The New City Tavern was really a prestigious, elaborate, the finest restaurant of its kind in the colonies at the time. It was a two-story brick building. It had rooms upstairs. It had a fine restaurant and lounge area. And the congressmen arrived by carriage, and they went into the building, and they gathered with discussion about government and the number of people that were to come and work on the issues concerning the problems they were having with the king. And this was the first gathering of when they were trying to work together in a united front against the king. See, each colony had their own contract, had their own agreement with the king to have a colony to begin with. But here they were planning to work together. Now, the City Tavern was a place that our founders loved. One of the reasons they loved it was because they worked on finding the rarest things for the table. All kinds of different meals were served there. And there was a group of them even had a standing appointment following Congress's adjournment each day to meet over at the City Tavern. And a lot of things were discussed there, as you could imagine, because they're leaving their governmental meetings, and now they're talking and discussing and debating over dinner all these kinds of things. And there were all kinds of dinner parties and meetings going on all over the city. But Philadelphia was a very modern town by those days' standards. They had brick streets. They had the finest establishment. I mean, it was the colony's capital for Pennsylvania. And so you had a lot of things there and a great place to gather. And there were some real important individuals that lived there. Ben Franklin lived there. You had John Dickinson. You had Robert Morris actually owned several homes there. One outside of town. In fact, George Washington stayed with Robert Morris. But there were lots of important things that went on at the City Tavern, and it being a favorite place for our founders, I'd just like you to get an image of what it is. And they come up and they're meeting and they're discussing things. The curtains draw to an elaborate feast that goes on till probably 11 o'clock. At this time, they haven't even got the place to meet for their meetings when they first arrived there. So they had a lot to do and a lot of discussion. But the first thing they did was entertainment, and entertaining their guests that had come from all over the colonies. I just want you to get a real good picture of what this is and what it's about and why it was so different when they were forced to leave and go out to Yorktown and Lancaster. It was a big deal to give up all this luxury. And they had a tremendous amount of luxury for their time. And I thought it would be interesting for you to get an idea of the situation there. The congressmen, they were all scattered all over the town. They had taken up every conceivable space because there were a large group of them. And there were only so many accommodations. And a tavern in 1765, 1770, 1780, 1775, this whole period of time, was more than just a place to get a beer. It was a place of accommodation. It was like a motel or hotel with a large banquet area. And it was a place to get food, get drink. They had specialty pork, for instance. And they had special meals. They had full-time staff. They were baking bread from scratch every day. So these weren't just a place to go in and get a beer. And I think that's the important thing here when we discuss the atmosphere around these meetings. These were people that would be here a long time before they were able to go home. So Philadelphia opened their arms to the congressmen and later to the delegates in the convention. And the new city tavern, freshly built, really a pride of Philadelphia. And John Adams referred to it as the most genteel place. I hope you get a better image of our founders as we discuss these things. And I ask you to please subscribe, follow me here on YouTube and on Rumble, and check me out on Facebook as we work to a better understanding of our Constitution, the times, the places, the events that we had to contend with. Thank you for your time today, and we'll catch you next week on the next Constitutional Talk. In liberty's name, have a good day. We'll see you next time on the next Constitutional Talk. Bye for now.